Okay, Andrew, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
You've seen Shawshank, right?
I have, yeah.
Have you seen The Green Mile?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Of the Frank Darabont directed prison movies based off Stephen King novellas of the
Yep.
90s,
Yep.
because I noticed this the other day, which one do you think is superior?
um, that's an interesting question. I, I've, I've seen Shawshank much more recently than I've seen Green Mile.
Okay.
But again, my gut reaction is to say Shawshank.
I imagine it's most people's reaction, because I know Shawshank sort of lauded as this absolute, like, best film of all time, whatever. But
I have actually been thinking, like, when I first watched Shawshank, I did my first initial reaction was to say, this is not the best film of all time. But now I feel like I don't think it is the best film of all time, but it is fantastic. Like it's genuinely brilliant. I think.
yeah. Well, since because we've both seen already, we're not going to talk about it on Tour of Andrew Men. But I thought I feel like bringing it up in relation to Green Mile, so I might as well.
Yeah,
But like, because Shawshank to me, it's not a bad film, but it's a solid 8 out of 10.
yeah.
But like, for some reason, it just doesn't really like touch me on like a personal, like an emotional level, and I never really worked out why.
Have you seen Green Mile then?
I have seen I prefer Green Mile, and Green Mile makes me cry.
Green Mile makes me cry as well. Like definitely,
I
yeah,
think it's
100%.
and I think Green Mile's. I mean, silly is probably the wrong word, but obviously it's not anywhere near as grounded in reality.
Yeah,
It's
so
basically a
that's
fantasy
what I was
story.
gonna say. Like I do think they're very similar, but what parts of them for me is the supernatural touch on Green Mile. I don't know. It doesn't. It just sort of takes it down a peg slightly
It
as
does, but the
opposed
thing
to
is,
Shawshank. But then
see,
again,
there's this.
I haven't seen Green Mile in absolutely ages. So
See, it's interesting because there's this idea about like, can you have a film that's too perfect, like a film where it's sort of so good it doesn't, it's sort of you don't really get into it. Like, well, the best films are flawed and they're ragged around the edges,
yeah,
and it's because of their flaws that they somehow endear themselves to you. And I was wondering about maybe that's my problem with Shawshank Redemption. Maybe it is so good, it's so sort of like perfectly polished, but I just can't. It's like trying to like kiss a bar of gold.
yeah,
Like I can't get emotionally invested in the bar of gold. Like
yeah,
the Green Mile. It is flawed and it is a bit of a mess at times, but it has such more of, I don't know, not more of a heart, but I don't know. It gets to me more, and I think I like Green Mile more.
I tell you what. Yeah, Green Mile. What I think Green Mile does better is it Percy, the prison guard, who's like an absolute
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Oh my god.
He is a brilliant villain, more so than the guards in Shawshank are.
Yeah.
Because obviously the guards in Shawshank, he's an asshole, but he's not like Percy is, like Percy's
Exactly.
next level.
See, I wonder if there's something about, because Green Mile is a lot more of an intimate story. I feel it's a lot
Yeah,
smaller of a cast. It's a
yeah,
lot
yeah, yeah,
smaller in scale,
yeah,
and it feels a lot more intimate, interconnected in that. And maybe that's why it emotionally resonates more. While Shawshank, it's a massive prison. It's just like an army of guards who are all brutal. There's loads of prisoners, and they all have their own little moments and stories and relationships. And there's the main guy
yeah,
he's not a bad villain by any means, but he doesn't, unlike, like you were saying with Percy, who really you care about in a sense that you hate him so much because you have a much more personal connection to hate him for.
yeah,
Well, the warden in Shawshank's all just, he's a corporate dick, and so he's just not as, I don't know. He's harder to hate in some ways because he just doesn't have that same
yeah.
intimate connection with the characters.
Also, Percy
I mean,
absolutely gets under your skin, doesn't he? He makes your skin
I mean, he's
crawl. Like he's
genuinely like fucked in the head as well with the stuff he does.
yeah. Whereas the warden, but also the warden at some point protects Andy Dufresne, doesn't he?
Yeah,
From the creepy German rapey
from the
man.
sisters. Yeah,
Was he German? I don't remember.
European certainly.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, actually. Just speaking about it now makes me want to watch Green Mile again, because you raise a good point.
It's a great film. It's strange as well because in many ways they're not hugely similar, but then in some ways they are. I don't know.
I think you're right about scope as well. Like Shawshank takes place over what, like 30 years,
Yeah,
or is it
something like that as well.
20? It's 19 years, I think.
It's like it starts
Whereas
in the 40s, doesn't it, and then goes to the 60s,
60s,
70s. I don't know.
possibly.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah. Whereas Green Mile's just on death row, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
not
I
that
remember
long.
one of the first things I learned in screenwriting at uni was when you write your story, make it take place over the shortest possible time frame. Like
Yeah.
if there's any way you can compress the length of time your story, do it. Because the longer stretch your story takes up, the less sort of impact it will have in a way. And I think that maybe there's some of that in Shawshank. You're right, because that is a long story in
Yeah.
terms of just the time frame.
Also, I feel like, I mean, it's strange for a Stephen King thing, but not enough bad happens to Andy Dufresne.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean, like, obviously there's bad stuff, like the people constantly beat him up, and he spends however long in solitary.
yeah,
But that's nothing compared to what the people in Greenbelt go through, is it?
yeah. That's true.
And what do you think about the endings?
Um,
I mean, classic Stephen King, of course, famously can't do a good ending. What do you reckon?
no. Well, so I can only vaguely remember the ending of Green Mile. Shawshank's ending is obviously quite famous,
Yeah.
and I don't know really. Again, because I feel like it's supposed to be this big emotional moment that makes you cry and really touches humanity.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just doesn't. It never really did a huge amount for me.
The only thing with Shawshank, so you Red, who's Morgan Freeman. Is he Red? Is Red, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah. Obviously, Andy Dufresne, he goes to prison for a crime he didn't commit. So he's morally pure. Whereas Red probably did go to prison for the crime he committed. Which means
Hang
for the
on.
whole film, you're like, oh, yes, he may be a mass murderer, but cool, he's fine by me.
I thought Andy Dufresne did kill his wife.
No, he didn't. He got set up for it.
Was he set up by the warden?
I don't know if it was by the warden, but he was set up. I think the whole thing is that he didn't do it. I'm interested to read the book as well. Maybe we could do a fundamental.
Hey, but I've been thinking a lot about that sort of being too perfect recently.
Yeah.
Because like Annihilation, but I bring up a lot. But Annihilation, like it's a film I feel like I wouldn't give it more than 8 out of 10 usually. And there's a lot of things wrong with Annihilation, but it almost feels like because of the things that are wrong with it, it endears itself more to me. And the same with like Blade Runner, which I absolutely love, a massively flawed film. Like there's things that are objectively wrong with it in a lot of ways, and yet it might be one of my favorite films of all time.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if there is something about having a film that's like that has like is rough around the edges, that has flaws, that makes it more. It makes it better, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, there's charm to it, isn't there?
Yeah,
That's why a lot of people. I mean, you're probably onto something because that's why a lot of people like the really terrible horror films.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're sort of so bad it's good. So maybe they're so good it's bad.
I don't know because it's. I mean, that is interesting. See if you can think of any others that are so good that they're just impenetrable.
I shall actually, yeah. I think that's the right word, impenetrable. It just feels like you can't. There's no way into them. There's no sort of. I don't know. It feels wrong to say the process because that's a different thing entirely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's an interesting idea. But I will muse on it and see if I can come up with like a list of films that I think are too good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. There you go.